Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm Madhvesh, and it is my immense pleasure to welcome you all to the TiE Mysuru's monthly event, Organizing Sales by Growth by Mr. Kiran Deshpande. James Cash Finney once said, growth is never by mere chance. It is the result of forces working together. The easy part is knowing what these forces are, but the difficult part is organizing these forces. We all know this, right? And if you are thinking the same line that I am thinking, you are in the right place. And we are going to hear more about it from our renowned speaker today. Without further ado, let me welcome on stage Dr. Mahesh Rao, board member of TiE Mysuru, to give a welcome and opening remarks. I welcome you on stage, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my privilege to introduce, welcome all of you to today's masterclass by Mr. Kiran Deshpande, and also to give a little bit brief about TiE Mysuru. At the same time, I want to just take a moment to talk about Mr. Kiran Deshpande. There will be a formal introduction, but I will do a little bit of a thing about Mr. Kiran Deshpande. And just to give you an idea about TiE Mysuru, for those who are not very familiar with what TiE Mysuru is all about. We are about a 4-year-old chapter, but 1 year of that is lost due to COVID. So we can easily say that we are only a 3-year-old chapter that way. Okay. So out of these 4 years, what have we done? Just to give you an idea, right? So we have about 150 plus strong member network in Mysuru. We did 3 TiECon organized successfully with over 1,500 plus participants. So 4 TiE University Pitch Fest hosted successfully. Out of that, twice in a row, we were adjudged as one of the best TiE University chapters globally. So that was a wonderful thing to see. 60 plus startups mentored by TiE University members, TiE Mysuru members. More than 10 lakh worth prize money, cash and kind, which was provided to the startups through this. Along with that, through the Government of India and the Startup India and various other initiatives, we have provided more than 1 crore rupees worth of funding to the startup. Thanks to STEP and thanks to Kushankar, one of our TiE members, TiE chapter members. 60 plus webinars and workshops conducted for the benefits of the entrepreneurs with 5,000 plus attendees. 3 institutional partnerships to promote entrepreneurship and innovation. 2,000 plus entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, startups read through the Mysuru program and initiatives through the TiE Mysuru programs. So these are the achievements of TiE Mysuru in the last 3-4 years which we have been in. And today again, we have Mr. Kiran Deshpande, who is very well known. He's been a TiE Global board member and has been, as you can see, has been very active in TiE, giving it out. What is the good thing about today, the 5th of December? Anybody? 5th of December is considered as the International Volunteers Day. What kind of organization is ours? We are a voluntary organization working for the benefit of the entrepreneurs. So we should all pat ourselves in the back that on such a day, we have all met together, trying to further the entrepreneurship through our volunteerism. Thank you all for coming and taking the time, and TiE Mysuru again welcomes you all. And without much ado, I would like the next person to come in and introduce Mr. Kiran Deshpande for the masterclass. That is Projector Kupnika, right? Associate member, please. Thank you.
small efforts day in and day out. And TiE Education series help us learning from experts session by session. Today, let's keep our mind open to learn the secret of sales from a very renowned personality, Mr. Kiran Deshpande. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Mr. Kiran sir. His education, an alumni of IIT Bombay, BE Honours, BITS Pilani, MTech from IITB. Mr. Kiran Deshpande has been a technology professional since 1978, having played a role in founding years of Indian software industry. Mr. Kiran has built technologies at time, the first time globally, and played a lead role in commercializing this. He thus carries a unique combination of conceptualizing software technology and driving their commercialization. His experience is 25 years in software service as a software engineer to CEO and 18 years as co-founder of Mojo Networks, a classical deep tech products startup headquartered in Silicon Valley. Mr. Kiran served as CEO and MD of TechM from 1996 to 2001, during which the company grew from 32 crores to 450 crores and TechM emerging as a leading IT service company. His founding years were in TCS, 4 years in business development and 5 years in software R&D at TCS Research. Now Mr. Kiran is a board advisor, mentor to founders and CEOs of tech companies and an angel investor. He was elected to IITBAA Global Board in 2020. On social service front, Mr. Kiran has been a TiE Pune charter member since 2009, served as its president from 2016 to 2019, and is now member of TiE Global Board. Mr. Kiran has played key roles in nurture, organized mentoring initiative by TiE Pune that's been adopted globally and has personally mentored over 30 startups. Mr. Kiran is director of 14 Trees Foundation, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to creating green cover on destroyed barren, uncultivatable land with native vegetation and a scalable module. Mr. Kiran is a senior member of IEEE and a member of ACM, has spoken at a number of events and conferences. He is an avid jogger and enjoys Hindustani classical music and photography. So, without taking much time from the session, I am honored to present to you our esteemed guest, Mr. Kiran Deshpande. Welcome, sir.
First of all, good evening. Very happy to be here. I met Mahesh, your executive director from TiE Mysuru in Pune, few days back when we had our TiECon, and so he was seeing all the hustle, bustle, chaos, and everything. And he said, "Why don't you come to Mysuru?" And this place, always, if you get an opportunity, you don't want to miss it. I had a wedding yesterday. My cousin's daughter got married in Bangalore yesterday. So I mentioned to Mahesh that I'm coming to Bangalore. I don't mind extending. So that's where here I am. I will tell you a little bit of a story before I get into PowerPoint and everything. You know, as she mentioned that I became charter member in 2009, and it was not any complex, write an SOP, what TiE Pune does, tell me what you're going to do, then there is a selection committee, none of that kind. Ajay Bhagwat, who is a good friend from IIT Bombay, he said, "You have to charter member ban jao tum." मैंने इसका मतलब क्या होता है? He explained, "We have to help entrepreneurs." I'm still an entrepreneur, so that's okay. So what will I do? I said, "First, write the check for me for the membership, and then we will see what we want to do." And so we used to have this meeting at the Pune Hindu Gymkhana, where we 4, 5, 6 of us charter members would sit and we design. And then I said, "What do we do? I mean, this is not good enough." Meeting and talking about what's not good enough. So I went to the couple of websites like Silicon Valley and found out there were 5 pillars. And the first pillar was mentoring. So that time, I had just made one investment in a technology company, and the founder was one of our employees who had left and did a startup. And then you realize that you need to spend a lot of time with the founder to even put them on the track. And I'm not talking about the founder is dumb. Founder was one of the smartest, but it takes that time. So we said, if one person is taking this much time, what if we organize this program on a larger scale? So that time the larger scale was 4 companies, because we did not find mentors for the 5th or the 6th. So 4 of us did that. And over last 10 years, and I think I saw the schedule, that the program has become, we have turned out about 270 entrepreneurs. It is now program managed. 5-6 chapters are managed by Pune, Nagpur, Hubli, Indore, Coimbatore. They all are joining Hyderabad. So the program is out there. The second part of the story is 2-3 years later, one of our mentee companies came to me and said, I've got a term sheet. So I said, congratulations. Very few times you get a term sheet. He said, I can't understand ABC of it. I said, you're not the only one. It happened to me also. When you go through the term sheet, I remember thermodynamics or microwave, where you can't understand anything, but a lot of stuff is out there. So what we did was, the investment that I made, I got the founder and said, there are term sheet leke aa, numbers nikal de, take the numbers out, and walk the entire nurture batch. We call the mentoring program nurture. Walk them through term sheet, even those who don't need funding need to understand. Then came the second realization. If you're intellectually, mentally sharp, you will understand term sheet. But negotiating a term sheet, which is good for you and the investor, is a very different beast altogether. That means you have to put that empirical knowledge to use, and different people do it different ways. And I realized that, a student of how cricket is played, there is one sport where weather impacts you. So you realize that sometimes the external factors do make a difference, and different people do it differently. So we said we have to create a set of education for our entrepreneurs, where we take this body of knowledge that we have and transition it to something where they can apply. So help them to apply. That was TiE Masterclasses. So over a period of time, it has got its own life. And you also realize, and I'm sure many of you realize, people think I'm a sales expert. It's a tough job. You don't know when things will disappear from right under your feet. And we are all, as founders, are very, very optimistic, and that can come in the way sometimes. So we started building. So this class actually is about organizing. It's a very fundamental class. How many of you have been through the notes that I circulated, sent out? Right? After reading the notes, you will think this is all common sense. Right? There is no rocket science in there, but applying that and making it consistent, uniform is where the devil is. So we put that, we put go to market, last year we created a course on negotiation. Because negotiation is another beast that most of us feel very uncomfortable about. So that's what this class is. What I want to do today is, this class is about 3 to 4 hours, so we don't have 4 hours, right? And you will all be tired after a day's work. So what we will do is, I will run through the slides a little faster, okay? Because I want you to spend 5 minutes on the case study, absorbing what the case study is asking. Don't expect to solve it. There's no, that we will do later. We'll come to that, and I want to see if we can have a good interaction here. And I'm very happy that people like Mahesh are here, Because whenever I see an experienced person, I look at that person as a co-faculty to help with more things, and then I go back and add to the class. This is probably 20th or 25th version of this I am conducting. So if it gets boring and I am getting too confident, just stop me and question me. Anything that you think is not there, please now or later get back to me. I'll also admit to you that I'm more of a business to business. I only know people who have done consumer startups or entrepreneurship. So it's conversation with them from where I derive my knowledge. But in case of technology B2B, I have done it myself. So that's where my natural instinct will come. So any of you are in consumer business or consumer startups, help everybody else with your extra knowledge, which I may not have. Can everybody hear all the way to the back? Perfect. 40-hour course for IIT Bombay, one of the professor's students, and that's when IIT means innovation has to be there, so I added that piece. So it probably has innovation, none of it, but it's about organizing sales, and okay, we'll also try and define market. We've heard, because these days people read a lot and they have a lot of information. So we hear the words like funnel, pipeline, stuff like that, and founders, entrepreneurs being the optimistic lot, think deal is almost there, but it might be a light year away, right? And more realization, that realization comes a bit later, so we will define all that. Service businesses, product businesses, businesses that require hardware, their DNAs are different. And however, the early part of your journey as an entrepreneur, a lot of things get mixed. So the founding team does everything from creating the message to narrating the message to defining the market, maybe all here, to defining the market, to getting first set of customers. All of this is done by the core team without much formalism. And that is perfectly fine, but that's what the journey is all about. But once you start building it up, how do you consistently communicate to a larger set of people that are within your organization? And as the company is growing, you still keep the soul of the company intact if you think that soul is good enough. So those are some of the things we will talk about. We will also, I always tell people, can you describe your business in, first we put a target of 30 words. Most people are able to do with 1 or 2 editing reviews, 30 words is good enough. Then we bring it down to 10 words. And then we bring it down to 5 words and 5 seconds. And that's like a, base camp 3 to the summit. Most people find it very hard, but it's very, very important to understand. What are the things that a consumer business needs, enterprise business needs, stuff like that. All of that comes in. As some of you know who are in the product business, many products are primarily channel businesses, at least technology products. When you go and buy toothpaste, online or offline, there's a huge supply chain that we fashionably talk about today. And there's a bunch of in-between points that one needs to know in order to build that up. Pricing is a very, very tricky and critical piece. If you are in the early stages and you are a consumer business and you have not taken into account the pricing of entire channel, you get business, you get investment, investors will start asking that what the revenue you committed versus the revenue you're getting, all of this becomes founder's responsibility, whether you are trained or not, nobody gives a damn. You have to figure this out. The other thing which I might refer to is, and this has come to me from seeing a lot of founders. Many founders are not suitable for being the CEO of their own enterprise. And that's an assumption they all make, that since I'm the founder, I'm the CEO. Can you be smart enough to recognize that here is my role and I'm going to hire my boss? Sounds good in MBA class or MBA lecture, but when you have to do it, it's very tough. But you can get over to that point and build a team. I think the success is a lot closer. I mean, you're de-risking your business because you're the founder, and that title nobody takes away. But CEO title, I know many of you, if you have a formal board, every day you walk into the office, you know the board hasn't fired you. So, these are tricky things to do. So we will touch upon some of these things. Founder's role, founder's narrative. These are some of the things that we will do. Are we ready? Okay. Very good. Description versus definition. So, easy to describe, difficult to define. So, describe definitely, but start thinking, how do I define also? Yeah?
Fulfill the needs.
Fulfilling the needs. Yeah.
Finding value for your product.
Finding value for your product.
Market accepted value. Market accepted value.
Market accepted value. You get it properly. Yeah?
When you convert the very actual money, like there is someone who should invest, but they takes you, that's it.
Money. Right?
I would say exchange for a value.
Exchange for value. What's simple here? What she's saying is very true.
Getting ROI.
Getting ROI. Yeah?
Understand the needs. Provide service.
Have you ever seen a grocery shop? What about all online technology? They give you something, they take money for it. Right? So, a transaction that ends up in that kind of a where you are given a purchase order or a contract to deliver something in lieu of which money will come to you. So until that happens, that process is sales. Right? You go to a shop, I mean, I'm sure Saturday morning you see a lot of people at 8 o'clock running to the grocery shop to buy a carton of milk because they don't have milk at home, they want to make a cup of tea or coffee. That piece is sales. Now, it can be a $1 billion contract for Boeing or TCS or Infosys, or it can be a simple thing. So it's definition by sales. So to me, sales is contact to contract. Now, contract could be, give me half a liter of milk and here is the money. Or it could be, if you ever done business with Jio or Reliance, this size contract, right, which you have to negotiate your business. So that is the sales side of it. What is it that when we create a business and somebody said, offer the value in exchange for something you will get these contracts. What is it that we want to understand? What is your offering? Right? To whom you are offering? How many founders are clear as to whom you are offering? I would say only 10% are clear in the early. And I'm talking about early stages. I'm not talking about mature. By the time you get to a certain size, you've figured something out, something works, something doesn't work, you've got a momentum, you're surprised that something you never put importance has suddenly taken off, something that you've spent a lot of time and money is not getting there. वो सब हो जाता है, by the time you get to $1 million, $2 million, a lot of that process happens. But in the beginning, what is it that you are offering? Who's your customer? Where you are going to offer this? And what is the nature of the customer that you are going to sell it to? These are difficult questions, and these questions have to be answered very, very early, right at the R&D stage. Otherwise, you might become, I mean, are you going to design an aircraft or a drone? Aerodynamics is same. Bernoulli's principle is also the same, right? Fuel is also, possibly you can do the same thing, but very different value proposition. Within drone also, is it a drone for capturing a wedding, or is it a drone for some serious stuff, like survey or surveillance? That's very different value proposition. It's understanding that is also very, very important. Will you let me know? Okay. I thought I will put together one slide that gives you the life cycle of a entrepreneurship. Right from Newton's apple idea to ideation to acceleration to growth stage. And we hear these words in all forms in many sessions. So I thought I will put this together so that it remains the reference point for most of us. Are you in acceleration stage? We talk about incubators, accelerators, and to me those are very important. Important in the sense, do you have crystallized your offering? Number one. Have you created your first customer or a first consumer set? Is there enough money in the bank, your friends, family, your investors, for you to run for next whatever time frame you define? 12 months, 6 months, 18 months, 24 months, 5 years. And I must tell you that many times founders underestimate the DNA. They don't know whether they are playing a test match or a T20. They are in for a test match, they think they are playing a T20 and huge disappointment. It's okay to play a test match. You know, you will be a long distance runner. A marathoner and a sprinter are two different beasts altogether. So first we have to understand, to give you an example, when I joined Tech Mahindra as a CEO, I understood what it takes to build a project business. But with telecommunication companies, sales cycles are typically 2 years. Not 6 months, not 3 months. So it's going to be 2 years. Two things I realized, I must start now because it's going to take more time. Number two was good news. If I'm in, the other guy who's my competitor is going to take 2 years. So if I'm a year ahead, good news. But the same thing with the consumer business could be in minutes. I know consumer businesses today see their revenue every third or the sixth minute. If you're a 10, 15, $20 million business, you're watching your revenue every few minutes. So understanding the time DNA of your business is also very important. And all of this put it on a time where money comes differently, this thing comes differently, and there is always an end game. Always an end game, whether it is an acquisition, it's an IPO, or it's a steady state business, which is a lifestyle business. And we are asking in TiE today, if there is an entrepreneur who has built a good lifestyle business, should we be part of their journey? And many of us are saying today, yes, because they are entrepreneurs, we are here to help entrepreneurs. So this is the stuff, and it works very well, especially in a university context. Students need to know what is the overall game plan, where you are. It's very important. Okay, so we discussed this. Define the opportunity, right? So you raise your round, and the investors ask, where is how are you doing in the marketplace? And we flash a bunch of logos for B2B. And some of those logos is just you have a friend who's working there, you have no clue, whether you're going to get out of business. So what is a defined opportunity is something that we will also look at. And I'm saying contract to contract, you can talk about purchase order, you can talk about buying online. All of that is basically what she said was something that creates money. Okay, I'll come back to it a little bit later. It's not just about the purchase order, but also something else beyond that. So let me, what is it that you are offering? To whom you are offering? Where you are offering? Now let me take some examples here. Everybody understands it's a B2B product business, right? There's something I have not said about SAP. I will say in a few minutes. Now these are, KPIT and Persistent are, prominent service companies out of Pune, and I put them here. And these are service businesses. By the way, Amazon Web Services service business, and many of you know that Amazon started selling books. Jeff sold books for a long period of time before he got into something else. So that time he was doing, it was a platform, selling product, whatever you choose to call it. Okay. So it's a service business. These are consumer businesses, right? Anybody disagree? What if Bata is selling to Indian military special shoes? Now that's a B2B business, right? So sometimes seemingly consumer businesses, and banks are a good example of, they have consumer, they have corporate, both of them bundled into a single entity. So they are very different businesses. And therefore founders need to understand where they are and what kind of stuff they are. Okay. Now SAP is also a service, right? Most SAP deals are X for the product licenses and Y for service, and sometimes Y is more than X, right? I realized that in our Mojo networks, where we used to sell scalable, secure Wi-Fi devices, street price for our devices was $700 to $1,000, and an integrator would charge $200 a month for 5 years to maintain that device. So the service opportunity was much bigger than the product sale. So these things do happen in product and service, and many times first-time founders are trying to take a religious approach, either this religion or that religion. And I always say, benignly be secular. You don't know which way is going to happen, but at the same time, you need to keep your fundamentals right. Where would the other business go to? Will you do it? Somebody else will do it. These are the decisions founders have to make. Okay. Flipkart, B2B2C. I put one more thing. How many of you come from military parental background or from that? Where you have gone to a defense store, where there is our example. So you always go to a defense, if you are a defense personnel, there is a store, military store, where you buy items, and they are available for a discounted price. And that is the largest B2B2C entity in India, beyond Flipkart, beyond Amazon. You will be surprised the amount of goods move through that entity. Most founders don't think of it. Right? So if you have a product, consumer product, put it on Amazon, put it on Flipkart, but there are other avenues which are very, very important. And therefore, understanding the ecosystem, understanding where the business will come from is a non-trivial piece of activity, and that's where we need to create opportunities and close those opportunities. What important things. And in the beginning, you don't have a VP of sales, you don't have a VP of marketing, you don't even have a salesperson. And that is the important part. Okay. Abbott is a large company. They are the largest maker of stent in the world. Now, you and I will go and buy a Disprin from a medical shop. But God forbid, if you had a heart attack, you're not going to go buy a stent from somewhere. The stent will be acquired by the hospital and given to you. So it is used by consumer but acquired by business. So if you have a business which is B2B for C, which is different than B2B2C, B2B for C is actually close to B2B, except the fact that there is not an enterprise user but a consumer who may not be as literate as an enterprise user, and therefore your fix it as we go along. It may be life and death situation, right? So I'm bringing a little dramatic example to make sure that we all think and question our assumptions and not take them linearly that everything we are thinking is right. So these are some of the interesting ones. So these are B2B for C. Many medical businesses are like that, B2B for C. Some of the technology businesses are also like that. So you have to understand all of that. Okay. How about IBM? Is it product, service, B2B, B2B? Everything, right? Why is everything? Because it's a company that has survived 150 years. Went almost close to chapter 11, built it up, added service. It has done every pivot that we can ever imagine. It still survives and grows. So, I hope all of us at some stage create a company like IBM where it is there for more than 150 years. But the journey can be long and very hard. But that's what most founders aspire for, imagine, but the work has to be that much more. Just to give you a place for this, what is a market? We asked this question. What is a market? Huh?
Where you sell the things.
Where you sell things. Yes.
Hidden opportunity.
Huh?
Here we can see the hidden opportunity.
Hidden opportunity. Yeah, anybody? One last.
Group of freshers.
Okay, to me, market is a basket of potential customers who have similar requirements. That is the only way you will be able to create more than one customer. So I need offshore software services, a very simple example. Now all those companies who need offshore software services can be my potential customer. Mahesh was talking to me that he's done several startups, taught everything. Right now he is a product outsourcing company. Anyone who is trying to build a product through outsourcing mechanism would have similar requirement, possibly your customer, right? For us, any organization in Mojo Network that wanted a device that gave security and Wi-Fi on the same box were my customers, right? Unless you have that, small companies, startup or entrepreneurs are short on resources, and therefore we need to carefully understand what is that basket that we're going to service and build our business. Now it can happen very quickly or it can take years, but that is very important. How did you create, those of you who created first customer, how did you create your first customer? Huh? What kind of contacts?
Usually we reach out to people whom we know very closely.
Yes. We reach out to people we know very closely, right? That can be your sister, that can be your sister's husband, that can be your classmate, that can be even your mother-in-law. At that time, she will be nice enough with you, right? Finally, it's family, So, friends and family are the contact. That's where you get, right? I've taught this class at least 15 to 20 times. Only once I saw someone having put lead generation created the first customer. Most of the time, we all create from what you said very nicely, close. Yeah. Now, okay, so let's see. That's what your grandmother will think of a market, right? But market is a basket of customers with similar requirements, right? With whom will you create this into customers? Your team. So you have a co-founder or someone you hired, an engineer. He says, "Oh, my dad works in this company, and maybe I might talk to them to see if they need us, our requirement, right?" And they're interested. I don't know how many of you have raised a round. Moment you raise a round, ask all the investors for their contacts to sell your product. Right? That someone who has invested in your company becomes close enough because the success of your company and their monetary success are now aligned, right? So they will do that. Interesting example, one of our Mojo Networks co-founder, when we closed the first round of $10 million, he went to the law firm that represented our venture capitalists and said, you guys have made enough money out of this deal. Now, you put this one device of mine and pay me $5,000 and give me a reference that your law firm is now protected using our device. And he walked away with the purchase order. So anyone close can be as close as a lawyer who represented the investor. Very, very important to understand. Many times founders go into town, total addressable market, SAM, all kinds of things, as if we are running a $100 million company. This is our first 5 customers. We don't even know where this enterprise is going to be. My job is to create those 5 customers, 3 customers, 10 customers, a consumer set of 10. I'm making jewelry. I asked my sister, tell me all your friends who are interested in imitation jewelry, and she gives you 5 names. Now that becomes your market. That becomes your market. And from there, you can go to Facebook, Colgate, Procter & Gamble, where half the world's population is your potential market. But this journey has to be understood from the day one. Very, very important. Okay. Now, what is good market? So, understood marketing. Huh? If you have any difference with how I am defining it, please participate in the discussion saying, here is what I think. Right? So, assuming that market is a basket of customers or consumer set, if you are into a direct to consumer, what is go to market?
Conversion is maximum.
Huh?
Conversion is maximum.
Conversion is maximum. Description, definition, challenge.
Where people think alike.
So let's start logically. We want to do sales. Right? So we need to create defined opportunity. Right? In order to create defined opportunity, we need to find people with similar requirement. Now, let's say, so first of all, we have to figure out a way to create the mechanism by which we understand that these people have similar requirement. And we did one simple exercise saying, meet your friends, family, including your mother-in-law, lawyers, everybody will help you out at that stage. So now we have to close the loop saying, how do we go from a contact to a contract? That process is what we have to define. Anyone before I? Yeah?
It's the process of packaging your solution to the problem and approaching your target audience.
Fair enough. Let me share my view of it. What to sell, whom to sell, where to sell, and mechanism of how to create that opportunity.
Creating demand.
Creating demand is part of it. You are absolutely right. Creating demand is part of it. Creating demand happens more into consumer businesses, because in consumer business you do not touch the customer. In B2B or B2B for C, you touch the customer, and therefore if your set is narrow, you end up having a direct connect. But in case of consumer, sometimes you don't even have. I mean, I gave the example of sisters, friends, and jewelry bar. You might have a direct, but it very quickly disappears into creating a demand and then fulfilling the demand. And I will come to a very important point to this. Anybody else here on the go-to-market?
Identifying our targeted audience.
Identifying it. That's the whom to sell. Whom to sell is very important.
It's more of customer engagement. When it comes to go-to-market strategy, I think it's more of customer engagement.
See, my point is, when you call someone a customer, a lot of water is thrown under the bridge. That means customer is someone who has done the task of giving you a purchase order. Once somebody is engaged with you in that manner, a lot of things happen. I'm talking about before that. I'm also talking when you don't have any infrastructure to do that. You're at a very early stage. And you will find the literature, Google and all, are very thin on the takeoff stage. You do anything, founders are on their own trying to figure out how to create first end customers, define the end and create the end is a dark black box. All of us have been through it, made stupid mistakes, gone into wild, narrow alleys, came back, looked stupid, finally created, we were lucky enough, God said, I forgive you for all this stupid leads you back, but now you get someone and you go. So I think the idea is to be smart, understand this process, and use the words funnel, pipeline, all of this intelligent. That is very important. When you are a founder, you try to organize your business. Okay. I don't have time to go through this slide, but it could be my go-to-market strategy is to sell my first jewelry set to two of my sister's friends. Right? So she has told me these 5 are there. Of these 3 are not interested. These 2 probably, one of them is, had a wedding to attend. She might buy it for me. So I'm very narrowly focused. I'm not talking to all of them. Only narrowly focused because she's the one who's going to give me my first purchase order. Right? Somebody is trying to use my drone for something else. Perfectly fine. All that stuff. So it's very, very important to get your 1.0 and then you go up. I will come to many of these points in the later part of the presentation. You have it in your notes. Those of you who do not have the notes, Mahesh can give you, and if you have read it, you would have probably seen that. I want to now focus next few minutes on contact to define the opportunity to contract. Okay? Now, I want to also share with you that you can improvise this based on your business, but few fundamentals have to remain because as your business grows, you have several stakeholders. Suspectful employees who do not believe this is going to grow. How many of you have that? Many of them. They think, I always argue, itna doubt hai to join kyun karte ho? We had one in Mojo Network, there was a guy called Vijay. Every day he would walk to our CFO and say, funding nahi ho raha. Every day. And he knew that I knew that he was asking this question. 1 year. After the money was transferred, he was still asking, up to believe kar lega. That's why I came back. So those are the biggest stakeholders because they talk to everybody else and leave this suspicion everywhere. That is one part. Second is your investors who are mature. There will be some financial investor and there will be an experienced entrepreneur and their approach will be different. But you can manage that second part. Third is your family and friend set. Very, very important set that you have to be transparent and good about. They may not understand everything. And your grandfather or grandmother may come to your rescue and somebody is asking you tough questions. Right? So that set is also very important because they all are aligned to your success and therefore you need to satisfy them. Otherwise your life at home becomes hell. So let's say we have decided a strategy. Our go-to-market, we have great brand strategies. We have also basket of customers. Now there may be some logos there. If I take B2B where I know someone, or I put a logo, I'll figure out someone who is in Tata Group. I don't know anyone in Tata Group. Malum karuga, kahin se dhoond ke nikaluga, they are my target. So that's your strategy, right? You try and get the contact points, like you would say. Get the contact point. But that doesn't mean anything. How do I, if I don't know my sister's friend's coordinates, I have no way to reach her. reach them. So you somehow figured out through LinkedIn, through direct, through reference, and you reached out to them. It's a one-way communication. Nothing has come back. You are getting to that, right? Heartbeat goes, even for athletes, goes from 45 to 120. Because that's our life is dependent on that. End of the month, salary is going out, and these people have not responded. One of them has gone for vacation and feels, oh my God, this guy has time for vacation and he has my life in there. It's all part of our game, right? You get a response. Your sister's friend says, your sister told me you're making jewelry. It sounds interesting. Tell me what you have. Now the optimist in us think that deal is done. It is not done, right? It is not done. In marketing, this is lead generation. Somebody responded to you. There is one more step. The sister's friend responds. I saw, your sister send me WhatsApp the jewelry. I like it. Tell me what the price is and all that. Now she may refuse because the color is not good, the design is not good, the price is too, or she thinks you are too cheap. She wants to buy something more. So brand kharidna, all kinds of things can happen. However, you realize one thing, that she has money to buy, and she has a definite need. A project or an initiative with money available is a defined opportunity. Until then, it is the top line. And if you are selling to Europe, you can stay in the first 3 boxes for as much as 1 year. Yeah, we want it, but it's in our plan for next year. Why did you call me today to plan? Don't call me now, I'll come after 4 quarters. It happens. It happens, all of us. Right? So it's very important to understand defined opportunity. You are one of the shortlisted ones. There is somebody else also. So they have shortlisted three vendors. And you're one of the vendors. And we think we won't get it. No, you may not get it. Somebody may just, if it is a government tender, and if you're in the driver's seat, a big brand will destroy the tender. Nobody buys it. Right? Most founders don't think like that. But that happens. Now you're selected. So the optimism has now some basis for it. But you have not hit the procurement guy so far. The final negotiation has not happened. When the final negotiation happens, and then you get a contract or a purchase order, that's when the same process is done. So marketing, right from basket of customers to getting a defined opportunity to closing, is very important. I've tried to dramatize it and make it difficult and uncertain. It happens. Let's say, it's not as bad as I'm making it out. You have 15 customers, you get to 5, you close, 3, then you go to basket of 40, then you start building it, and you become, in a year's time, you have a channel in the Middle East, and you have somebody in US. Company is looking bigger. You went from angel 1 round to 2nd round, or if you're a bootstrap service company, you've got a good team, you've got some money in the bank. How do you communicate uniformly and consistently where the business is? I'm dealing with 50 companies of where I'm shortlisted, we are selected, and we are in negotiation with 10 of them. This is the projected revenue based on the timeline. That's what investors want. That's what your board wants. That's what your advisory board wants. Founders to be. Now, if you're in computer science, electronics, physicist, nobody has taught you this. Nobody has taught you. But you have no choice but to understand this because you are the founder. Right? Organizing all of this is very, very important. Understanding is very important. You may have people in your company who don't understand this. You have to also communicate to them how this thing happens. Many times you come close to an existing customer, changes the terms of the contract, which is an ongoing contract. You've done business for 4 years, and you get another purchase order, which has become a routine now. Your legal or CFO says, ये contract term change कर दिया सर, damage ज़्यादा मांग रहा है, ना हो ही नहीं सकता. I'm not going to accept this purchase order. It's snake and ladder. You go back to your customer, and if somebody they joined the procurement wants to show their presence and mess it up. Right? These things happen, right? It has happened to me. And it has also happened when the contract was signed and the deal never happened because of amazing external factors. Pandemic, all kinds of things. 40 years of life, you'll have everything. Right? So it's very, very important to understand this and consist. You will go wrong. But if you go wrong only 10% of the time in presenting, estimating, forecasting, people will start trusting you. And when you say this next 3 quarters are difficult for us for these following reasons, your stakeholders will trust you, rather than saying this is coming out of nowhere. So sales is also about understanding the formal process, understanding its nuances, coaching everyone as a founder, learning yourself, and making sure that it is consistent, uniform. Assuming that you have something to offer, and there is a basket of customers that you can reach out. Okay, so it's simple, but difficulty is in execution. Any question? Anything here? I want move a little faster. Any question? You can send me a question afterwards also on WhatsApp. So this is customer creation. This arrow you will see consistently. This is how we are at our stage, early stage, right? We have 25 lakh revenue, 40 lakh revenue, 50 lakh, 100 crore. You're doing everything. In cricket, I say you have to create the pitch. You are the curator. You are the roller wala. You are the 12th person who's going to bring the drinks. You are the batsman. You are the bowler. You are the umpire. You are the referee. Everything yourself, right? And if the match has gone bad, people will blame you for it. Right? So, therefore, we have to de-risk ourselves and our role. Now, I'm trying to create what happens in direct to consumer, what you were saying. In direct to consumer, you have your consumer set. Let's say I sold it to sisters, to friends. And now I'm thinking all women above a certain earning, certain age, in a geography, I want to reach out and make a sale or create that. Right? Now you have to create demand generation, exactly what you said. How do you do that? Multiple mechanisms exist to create that demand. Then you have to make sure that your back-end logistics is there, so when that consumer comes to acquire online or offline, the product is available, even the service is available. There are many service. Urban Company is an interesting example of a consumer-oriented service business. Right? So when you go to them, you download their app and tell them this is what I want mehendi or I want head massage or whatever. At this time, the person will come. So they create demand and they satisfy the demand. So there has to be a person, service provider who does that. So the general understanding is for consumer, it's always some physical piece. It's not always a physical piece, that is delivery. It can be service business. And it takes time. I want to ask you one question. Do you think your business is only online or only offline, only B2B, only B2C? That's how we think in the beginning, and nothing wrong with it. But is that how it will happen? Anybody with 10, 15 crore worth of business? Other than my colleague, rather larger. Charter members excluded. Anybody have a business like 10 crore, 15 crore? Yeah. How big is you can share? Okay. So is your business online, offline, combination? How is it?
Second service, we are in service as both.
Okay, so B2B service. So lot of feet on the street. Okay. Many times we think it's all online. It doesn't happen. Many times we think it's only B2C. It doesn't happen that way. The Flipkart shows up in between. A defense store comes in between. A hospital comes in between. Big stores come in. They reach out. You've got something very good, and let's say you've sold 1 crore worth of jewelry in the first year. Maybe a shopper stop or a West Side or somewhere else comes to you and say, we will put in our shelf. Now that is a different business altogether. So many times when businesses grow, they cover multiple dimensions of the 3 XYZ axis, which I said. Founders have to navigate all of that. Because he's still the founder, he's still everything. You have to know that. Okay? Some of the examples I will take later, I will share with you. So this is the customer creation. Influencer. One of our charter members. How many of you have heard of a company called Indigo Paints? Many of you have. Indigo Paints founder, Hemant, is my neighbor. We share a common wall, and we have an agreement that how many trees he will plants he will water, how many we will water, and we always mess around. तूने नहीं किया, मैंने नहीं किया. So it's my wife and Hemant who always say, you are supposed to do this. ठीक है, मैं आज कर देता हूँ. Hemant shared a very interesting thing in a tripod where I was speaking. He says, India is aspiring, so people are painting their houses, their societies more often than before because there is disposable income. So what happens is 4 years back, let's say in Bihar or in Tuticorin, you're now repainting your house. 4 years back, you had got a painter, and he went to the shop and bought, Nerolac, ACM, whatever. Now you call the same painter. Why not paint लेके आओ बताओ कितनी बार किया था your mind is set. Now he says, there is a new paint that has come. It's called Indigo paints. So he goes to the shop and buys Indigo paints, not Asian paints. So it may not impact Asian paint as a leader, but that last minute influencer is very, very important. You're dealing with a CIO. There is a tech guy in the organization whose word is the final. When that person says this is good, everything. So you can come top down, bottom up, sideways, northways. But if that guy says yes or that guy says no, you have a huge problem. So understanding the influencers, which is very important. Right? If you have not had sales experience, we don't understand. We technical people, I'm more a computer science person than sales. But once you create a company, it dawns on you that unless you create revenue, there is no let out for that. So influencers are understanding influencers to go from shortlisted to selected is very, very critical. Well, that person will do the trick for you. Okay? And good salespeople actually understand the influencers, they've spotted like that. I'm going to ask a couple of questions here. Now, this is a company that came to our mentoring program. So, this is a PhD from IIT Bombay. And what they've done is, you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, Vaidya, and there's a 1 minute silence, which is like a lifetime, right? And he's holding your nerve, and you have no idea what's going on. Right? After about a minute and a half, suddenly the world comes to take this, don't do all that stuff. They have now created a device by which it gives you everything that an expert Ayurvedic doctor. So when it came to me, when I saw it, should he only go to Ayurvedic doctors as a go-to-market? How many of you say that only Ayurvedic doctors? Okay, there is one person.
Depends on the stage in which they are in. Early stage we focus on.
In emergency, we need to go to allopathy. If not the emergency, then we can go to allopathy.
So, if 3 or 4 of us were a founding team, we would have a very intense discussion. Should we go to a larger set or a specific set, right? So, even something as obvious as this can create good discussion around go to market, what to do and what. And nothing is, there is no Boolean here. If it's successful, it's good. If it's not successful, your decisions were wrong, right? So I asked him, these days, allopathic medical professionals, doctors, also practice alternate medicine, right? You've seen that happen. And what you are doing with the stethoscope, which is a device I put next to it, there was a little bit of a hint to you. I said, why don't you find out all the doctors who also practice alternate medicine and give this device. Like in my neighborhood, there is a doctor, Tushar Chaudhary. I mean, very popular physician. He will use everything, including allopathy. So now you are expanding this thing, but having expanded, does your device compete with the stethoscope? Now there are sophisticated stethoscopes and there are garden variety stethoscopes. Now where do you want to position? Simple thing, right? This is our device, Mojo Network, right? This is, I'm sure you probably, some of you have it at home, Netgear, BSNL, Jio have put that in your house, or Apple nowadays. These are our competitors, right? Should we compete with the home guys or should we compete with the enterprise guys? To give you an idea, a home device may cost as low as $20. An enterprise device is $700 to $1,200. Where do we go? It's the same electronics. Same electronics. Difficult question, right? Difficult. What Cisco did was, it acquired a company to go into consumer side. But you can't do it in the beginning. So some of these questions are, go-to-market is very, very important. My experience personally has been, when I teach go-to-market, in 45 minutes, it takes 45 days to get 1.0 reasonably good. Because there is a lot of iteration that happens, you drop it, you do it. It's a very good to do that exercise, get aware before you randomly do it. Okay? Just recapping, market, contact, suspect, lead, opportunity, shortlist, and selected purchase order. That's what we talked about, right? You see those different arrows. Right from some random logo to getting a purchase order. Not very different. Reach the customer online. Content is very important. CRM is very important for consumer businesses. Locations make a lot of sense. Partners make a lot of sense. Channel incentives, continue the outreach. So B2C business to me look more complex than B2B. To me, that doesn't mean there are a lot of guys who find B2C very, very easy. To me, look very, very complex because I like to touch the customer. In B2C, sometimes you lose the touch faster than that. Other thing is, it takes more capital upfront to create a B2C business. It may finally end up being the same capital for a successful B2B company, but in the beginning, it's front-loaded rather than back-loaded. Okay? So if you're creating a direct-to-consumer business, make sure that you've got good money in the bank. How many are direct-to-consumer businesses here? Okay, 3 of you. So this is our early stage. Direct versus channel sales. Typically, service businesses are direct businesses. Product businesses, by and large, channel. That means partners. Okay. Large enterprise, online, offline. That's typically how direct sales happen. Through partner, I'll give you an example. Our device, if it is to create a wireless network in a company's headquarters, one device will cover roughly 5,000 square, roughly. It may be 9, it may be 4, roughly take 5,000. A 50,000 square feet office will require 10 devices, right? 10 devices at $750 a piece is $7,500. In the beginning, the time it takes to create that $7,500 PO is not very different than creating a $2 million service deal. It's the same effect. So we have no choice to create partners so that the 7,500 can be replicated by multiple hands to it. Okay? It's very, very important if you are in the product business. Most successful product business have done, our competitors, Cisco and HP, amazing network of partners. Amazing network of partners. Right from Antarctica to Arctic. That is where they build largely. So it's very important. You will not get there first time. But you have to start thinking like that. Founders, one mistake founders make is, I get an opportunity through close friend family. I sell it for $10,000, like $7,500. Right? They are happy with my product and devices, I'm very happy. That person now tells somebody in the industry, there's a new company that has come up, I just bought their devices, damn good people. Hey, what price do you buy? $750 a piece. So that guy now calls you. You're very happy to give the proposal. And he says, I always buy it from this reseller. And end price is not going to change, $750. Now you have to give from $750 to the partner, your revenue will go down. Let's say you 10%. So you will make 6,750. Now that person tells someone in Kenya or Egypt, now there is a distributor involved. Another 10% goes. If you had made the price $900, you would have made more money in the first deal, but you would have kept your $750 intact, which you committed to your investors. So pricing is tricky for channel businesses. First-time founders miss this 100% of the time. And then what happens is you don't want to give the channel margin because you think that person is eating into your margin. And the struggle starts. The partner feels this company is not good, they are not channel friendly. The word goes in the channel world faster than you all can imagine. And the business starts hitting the roadblocks. It's very, very important to understand pricing. Okay? I will just share with you and this is specific. If you're building service business, sometimes you may have people who will be consultant, but that's not a channel. Channel is someone who will take the purchase order and promise to pay you even if they don't get paid. It's a very important one. 3-layer or 2-layer. In your home market, wherever your home market is, you can create resellers. But if you get a distant query, and when I meant Kenya and Egypt, these are real life stories. I got a call from Equity Bank in Kenya. They heard about you. 10 minutes call with the CIO. And I have no idea how Kenya operates. I have no idea what is the duty structure there. I have no idea. I'm an OEM. I'll ship it from my warehouse. So I asked them, who do you trust? He said, I have a good reseller here. I will give you the reseller. He said, same thing in Egypt. Then I learned from the reseller, don't charge AMC, add few more devices. Sending devices out of Egypt is like getting blood out of stone. So if the customer needs 10 devices, I'll sell him 12. And he or she buys it because they know AMC is no good. Okay. Now, therefore, your channels are very, very important. The distributor, if you have physical device, the distributor appoints resellers. The sale process for direct sale is different than the sale process for indirect sale. Now, as a founder, you have to understand direct sale because that's what you did in the beginning. But when you shift to channel, as a founder, you have to also know how to sell to the partners, your partners. The trick here is how do you get a channel partner to narrate as good as you, the founder, are doing? They will never do that. They will never do that. That's one part. The second part is 20% partners will give you 80% business. But in order to find those 20%, you have to get, so let's say 2 partners out of 10 are going to give you good business. And maybe first 5 partners are not good. We still have to get 10 to get 2. Many founders, first, second, third partner didn't find good enough. Arey Baba, 20% ke liye aapko, you have to be on that program all the time. So it's very important to understand these pieces. We either were lucky or we were good, I don't know. But we found some partners who were the head of the organization, reseller organization, was as good as me or anybody else. In fact, in Delhi, we used to have one of our partners attend the OEM vendor conference. And many times the government has this vendor conference where the OEMs have to be present. We asked one of our partners to attend. Many people did not know that he was a partner and not from the OEM. But they can articulate as good as that. So the trick is to find that and then they do that. Certain geographies, for example, you take Middle East. The partner has bulk of business. Money comes in randomly. The customer will pay a bulk of the money. Then that partner will distribute among the OEMs. So you have to make sure that your piece comes good. So your sales people have to be very, very aligned to this. The business grows, you also have some direct logos, some channels, some everything. Becomes complex if you are successful, and therefore understanding this is very, very important. Okay. It is happening in India. How many of you sell through channels here? So you guys know what it is, right? In Europe, I found out that there were distributors and system integrators who would only pick startup from Silicon Valley and work with them because they knew that they need some support, but they have innovation. So these guys would actually take a larger percentage, put the money in marketing and sales, and build the program. So I get 25%, 10%, 15%, or whatever be the margin is same, rather than let's say someone like HP or Cisco, which may be single percent margin. But I want to do that. When the company becomes successful, they will actually take away that relationship. They will tell you, you become too big for us to now do that. So we're going to pick another startup. So finding those value-added distributors is also very important. It is in the technical world, networking world, devices world, it is beginning to happen in India, where there are now value-added channel partners who will put in the time, effort, and the expertise to build the business. So it's very important to understand all of this channel as a founder if that is what your business is. Okay. Scope of partnership. Simple reseller. Let's say my first quote came from, let's say, Indore. Then the guy goes, everything to this big company over there. Let's take a company like Impetus. So he sells laptops and switches and, terminals, everything they sell. So now you are there, out there. So they don't know anything. All they know is the accounting people, the key people, they will bring the purchase order to you. Versus, you have a large company and you have TCS, Wipro, and Infosys as 3 different system integrators competing for business. Very different channels. Typically, it goes from very simple reseller to complex system integrators, and it happens in everything. For technology businesses, white labeling is very important. But if you do white labeling beyond a point, your own brand goes down. I've seen a lot of founders say, I've got so and so, they want my product, I want to do this. You will be white labeled, but your brand will not come out. Once your brand doesn't come out, then your investors start getting edgy about it. But it gives you steady state income. So managing white labeling versus your brand is a challenge for founders right through until you get to a point where your brand is very well. In which case, then you can manage. Okay? Those of you who want to do the case study, you can scan this or I can send you. There are a set of questions here. Describe the business. All the stuff that we talked today are there in the question. You can scan it and do it at your pace, because I don't think you want to do it like a 12th grade exam. This is real life stuff. And let me know if it works, because I'm trying for the first time. And I'm happy to take the responses and give you the feedback on your responses if that's what you want. Generally, that's what happened to me when I do that. People come back and then we engage on a serious note. The only element is time between the time that we have for each other. Can I move? And Mahesh has that. I will quickly share with you. We have a class, another master class that Anand Deshpande runs, which I have been co-faculty of, which is how do you scale your company. So we've talked about anatomy of building business. We've got into the trenches and talked about leads, opportunities, all that. What happens, take any 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, or 1 crore, 2 crore, 5 crore, 10 crore, you've gone fast to 10 crore in 4 years. Now from 10 it doesn't go to 20, it goes to 50. You still don't care because you're saying I've added 5 crore which was my business year to last year. Now from 15 it goes to 17. And 17 then it goes to 18 and a half. So you're starting to hit that where this rate of growth has become negative and growth has become smaller and smaller. What happens there? How do you take the company out of that? We don't have time. There is a 3-hour class here. Only thing I will share with you is, let me see if I have got this. I'm taking an example of my, I typically jog between 7 to 12 kilometers most of the time, 90% of the time. But come October 2nd, I do a full marathon walk. Because Gandhi was a walker and I was a follower, I'm quite happy with what he did to the humanity. So that day I walk. So sometimes 15 kilometers, sometimes 10 kilometers, sometimes depending upon the time. And I was pretty happy with that. Until 2018 or 19, I said, why not? I do 42 kilometers. Now, telling the family that I want to do a 42 kilometer can be a challenge, right? So, my sisters who are very well meaning, they will think that I'm going to fall dead in 25th kilometer. So, but for myself also, how do I go from, this is like September 9.34 kilometers in 1 hour, I go to full marathon. I have to, what do I do? What will happen in 15 kilometer? What will happen in 28 kilometer? Will I fall apart? Will I have a permanent? I have no idea. What would it take to achieve this? So you did put the organization, you put service business, you did the basket of customers. You were pretty successful. You brought the company to 2 million, 5 million, wherever it is. And now you are sensing that this S curve has hit, where the rate of growth is going down. Something else has to be done. So you're not dead. You're not unsuccessful, but need to do something different. That's what you want to do. Right? So I was imagining maybe I have strong legs. I need to pace my walk in a manner. And I need some drinks along the way. Don't overdo it. Don't put on too much of, this bottle here, that bottle here, gadgets here, none of that. Shoes have to be, don't buy the shoes on the day before the marathon. I don't know how many of you run marathon. You can spot the people who are first timers. नया जूता, नया सब कुछ. अरे भैया नई पैंट से पहले दिन मत खेलो. You'll not get your eye contact. Right? So if you play cricket, anytime first bat is you should be ready to get out in less than 10. But you have to imagine this piece. Your current business is not growing. Right? It is not growing at the rate at which you want. So you have to imagine where you want to be, work backwards, what would it take to get there, identify the constraints and remove the constraint. Now the constraint may be you have to go geographically far and wide, you have to hire a CEO. You're a good founder, brought the business to 15 crore, but from 15 to 100 crore, it requires a different CEO. So you have to bring your own CEO. Maybe you need investment. Maybe you need your 2 of the 3 co-founders are not able to deliver beyond 15 crore. You have to bring a team to which these co-founders will report now. These are tough calls. But if you extrapolate from here, 15 to 18.5 to 19.5, the curve will start going down. And many companies fall apart after the first S curve because the founders do not spot this. And one of these days, I think what we do is typically, for larger companies, we cut it out at 5 crore. Effectively, it is 10 crore and above when these things happen. But we take all businesses which are 5 crore and above and have them attend this class. Okay? But it's good news that you have reached the S curve. That means there is some success there. From there, you have to. And one thing which I probably might share with you. Okay. So I hit 45 kilometers successfully, walking alone. Next year was 50 kilometers. I only wanted to walk 45 kilometers. There was a friend of mine, and she said, I want to turn 50, so let's walk 50. Right? So, 50 kilometers. You will be surprised, last 2 kilometers were 48 to 50 was nightmare. So I had the whistles. And then you realize that you need to do something with your shoes and your socks beyond 42, 43 kilometers. So, small thing, but 9 to 45 was a different thought process. 45 to 50 was a different thought process. So somebody is now egging me to walk 100 kilometers. So I'm still thinking, when I'm walking 100, that means I'm taking 45 to double. I'm meeting a company which is about $4 million. And I've been telling the founder, you need to think $50 million. It took me 2 years to get this friend to say, now we are having a brainstorming session. How do they go from 4? He's still debating 10. I said, no. 10 is the waste of your and my time. Let's think at least $40 million. Now imagine a $40 million company when you are 4 and start working what you will do. And get the team involved. So it's a very important part of scaling strategy. We don't teach it in organizing sales. Because organizing sales to me is once you have figured the scaling strategy, this becomes a tool to achieve that strategy. Okay? Co-faculty for this class is a gentleman called Ashok Porwal. He's an retired IIM professor. And then he talks about constraints in this class. And one of his master statement is, the only constraint in life is your mind. Everything else is possible. Difficult one, but we all catch it like this. But you have to, so he says, remove that constraint, work on the constraint. If it means bigger round, it means everything. It may be one of the things for direct to consumer businesses. See, if the business has a 10 or 15-year natural life cycle, and you got an early stage VC funded, now their time frame will be 3 to 5 years. So some stage you have to get them out and bring in a growth investment. First time founders don't understand. The real smart founders that you see, they understand it, but first time founders don't. All we're trying to do is, we don't have to be that smart, we can still make it because it's not very difficult. So there's a VC who's put in $1 million, now you're raising a $15 million. You can say, look, 15 out of 15, $2 million are my secondary, my current investors have to get out. You can also do one thing that some of my employees want a stock option, some of them want to sell and make money. So depending upon where you're in the life cycle, you have to remove those constraints so that your board, your investors align to where you are in the scale up. So this class talks about it, and sometimes I should get Anand with. So, just to sort of share with you. Now, here are some interesting companies I want to talk about. Early salary, Akshay and Aditya were our students, nurture students. They were in nurture 6 or so. And they basically, it's a loan in lieu of a salary. So they raised a Hemant Chalan, he was their mentor. He coached them how to get the first round of investment. These are very smart founders. And today they have become one of the, they probably have 5,000 crore of capital lined up. And one of the, good companies scaled up very well, competing with Bajaj Finance and all that. Gig India were interesting founders that I had a chance to mentor. These are students from PICT, Pune Institute of Computer Technology, computer science students. They figured out that some of their friends did not get the CET rank that these guys got in Maharashtra CET. So you get College of Engineering, Pune, VJTI, PICT, top 9 colleges. A friend of yours who has not studied gets into Tier 4 college. Now what happens there in that college is, when you come to the third year, you realize that you become mature, but you are not you can't get a job. Very clear realization. So these guys started picking up these students and trying to give them gigs, which were very simple. I'm a good photographer, and Flipkart wants some photography to be done for videography. I do that. I'm a good translator from English to Marathi. I may be a lousy engineering student, but I'm a good Marathi. So I start doing these gigs, and they did it around the students. And then we asked the question, why are the students? Gig economy is coming. So they expanded it to professionals. Amazon came and gave them the first order. When Amazon Pay happened, go to every shop, stick in an Amazon Pay sticker, get $10. So one order, another order, third order, and they started building a big business. PhonePe acquired them about a year back. Business scaled up very, very fast. I was rather disappointed because I told them, you're creating a TCS of gig. So don't sell your company, you probably are ready for an IPO. I would not do that. But that's what they want to do. So this is an interesting one. Bombay shaving. How many of you know Bombay shaving? Quite a few of you know. 3,000 rupee razor. When you can buy a razor for 65 bucks. And that too going back 40 years of the single edge blade. The value proposition was just the way women spend time in nail polish, in lipstick, and they do that as a part of grooming, men don't have to think shaving as a chore or maintaining beard as a chore. So that was the value proposition. High-end wrestling, direct to consumer, at that time raise your working capital. The business is now, you will be surprised, the defense store is one of their B2B4C. Many stores have it, and they have very interesting mechanism by which offline B2B business is nearly 15 to 20% of the business, while it started as an online business. So some of these things happen in a very different manner, Indigo Paints we talked about. So these founders, if you ask me, Indigo Paints, how long has the founder been on the business? 22 years. He was running by himself, scaled up. Sequoia Capital found him out and wanted to invested, and there was a space for a fast growing paint company in India because the lifestyle is going up. Bingo, it happens. Early salary was an opportunity where I'm a first time employee, first month salary, and either I have to give to my girlfriend, boyfriend, or my parents. I don't have money, so I get the money in a few seconds in the last week of the month, and I pay it back in 10 days. So many of these businesses have come with the founders who understood how to build a business and basket of customers that we talk. Okay. I will this is where I will probably stop. This is a company that was India finalist last year from Pune, women entrepreneur, the TiE Global competition. What she is a PhD in biology. They have used natural silk. The natural silk is a protein which is needed for breast reconstruction for cancer patients, bone regeneration. If you have had an attack and your bone has been distorted, today the surgeries are very expensive. So that is the second one. So they have taken natural silk, they have a patented process, and out comes these three things for a bone tissue, for a soft breast cancer, or even a skin tissue. Sometimes I get bruises and all that. My question to you is, if you're sitting with these three different businesses, which one will you pick and go with? How many of you will go with bone regeneration? How many of you will go with breast reconstruction is a competitive, tough business? And the skin one is a very simple, but it's a consumer business, doesn't even require FDA approval or the DGCA or whatever, the drug controller of India. Which one would you go with? Let's say you are a co-founder, which one would you go with? Difficult thing, right? Now the reason I am throwing these things for you is, in our entrepreneurial journey, besides our own company, many times we are asked by others, we are very considered experts in startups and entrepreneurship. So sometimes somebody in the family, friends, oh, my son is now doing a startup, and can you advise him or her? We have no idea about what this is. So it is very important to, in a setting like TiE, where diverse entrepreneurs come together, we get to learn a lot about each other. In the last 10 years of mentoring, I have understood how to sell, romantic lingerie to wireless to drones to everything. I have understood food, because there is an entrepreneur who comes along and they pose a problem to you, and then you realize you know or you don't know, and you dig deeper, you do brainstorming, and out comes some good thoughts. One thing which we don't do as founders is try to question our own ideas. So try to kill your idea or get a devil who will question you on that. It's tough because somebody is going to ask you questions which are not comfortable, right? But if you come out of that and your idea still survives, two things happen. You're very confident that there is a merit in it. I have been through a gas chamber just now and I have survived and come out. Right? It's like 45 kilometers of walk. If I could walk, I get confident that I know I can do that. That is one thing. Second is, our narrative becomes very refined because we have answered hard questions about our. Otherwise, we tend to self-assure ourselves that we are on a great idea. So it's very important to look at other businesses, how they operate. Some businesses, for example, direct to consumer are winner take all. Swiggy, Zomato, everybody else gone. Urban company, most of them gone. But offshore services, lot of them are there. Telecom, lot of them are there. Bunch of businesses. Understanding these dynamics of which business you are in is very important. It starts very, very early in the journey. Okay? So think about it. A lot of time for you to think some of these things. You know, I was talking to Shivkumar in the car. I gave a talk to the senior executives of Tata Elxsi, very well-known company. I've seen its growth with Tata for a while, and they were senior executives. So I prepared this slide, but I didn't show this slide. I said, what defines you, or what is your unique value proposition? So people started saying, you know, we have so many customers and all that. Finally, I said, here's what I have: track record, you know, brand, expertise, size, 9,000 professionals, all that stuff big companies. Then I asked them, can you take all this and give me a 10-word narrative of your value proposition? You will be surprised, none of them were able. Because the flywheel is so powerful that you don't have to do that. Against that, a smart founder. Because we have been questioned, we don't have money, we are short on resources, our recruitment is tough because we don't have a brand. We recruit a sharp founder in a small enterprise is much more powerful and impactful than a senior executive in a large company. If somebody from senior my advanced apologies. I love competing with big people because they never realize how fast can we come at that. So many of you, if you are competing with a big brand, don't feel scared. You have an opportunity to close a deal before they recognize that you are a serious competition. By that, you are right. Only thing it requires is sharpness of narrative. And at least in B2B, what I've seen is a senior C-level executive is curious, interested in a good founder, because entrepreneurship is around everywhere. And if you see a good founder, they want to know how did you create, what did you do. So you get an extra mile to talk about your business. Make that as a leverage and close the business. Many times we don't do that because we are always doubtful in our mind. So get the doubt out. Even if it's like Viren Sehwag, you know, 300 runs, chakka maru. He also got out. Many times he got out. But that's the name of the game. That's what we do. Can we stop here? Any questions, anything? I have some slides on product market fit. I just want to share with you that we talk about product market fit, but it's a very difficult beast. You realize the product market fit when it has happened. Until then, you have no idea. And many people say, we have got product market fit, and I get worried about it because unless you are a big company, you will never know. Like IBM. You know, IBM, and there are some examples here where a couple of things. Discontinuing a product is a message to the market that you are confident of stopping a product. So sometimes very smart founders do that. It may happen that you created something, it was giving you 1 crore worth of business. In the third, fourth year, it's still giving you 2 crore, you don't find it worthwhile because the stakes have become big. So you discontinue it and sends a powerful message to the competitor. In software, if you have a piece of work which is giving revenue, no longer do your appetite. Make it public domain, make it open source. By making it open source, you give a message to the marketplace. So these are the tricks which you can use to gain branding advantage. My last point is, many of us in the technical B2B do not think brand. Consumer people think brand. You talk to someone in Procter & Gamble, Bombay Shaving, early salary, they will talk 300 crore brand, 500 crore brand, 50 crore brand. We don't do that. We always think about the excellence of our offering, but it has to be translated into a brand for the business to grow or get over the S curve. Maybe branding is your constraint to get over the S curve. So those are some of the things. Thank you very much. Any questions, any comment? I want to just stop here. Yeah.
Especially in the early stage,
Yeah.
clients tend to do the mistake of overdoing the case for change. When we actually pitch, we overdo the case for change. Any tips there?
So what he is asking is, in the early stage, we overdo the case for change.
Yeah. Especially the hardness of the USP, we go overconfidence, over the goods. Many times I see.
See, if the USP is genuine USP, and to me, genuine USP is you have something that your competition does not have, number one. Number two, for the competition to come and match you, it is a Herculean effort or it is impossible with your patterns. Anything else is really not a USP. So let's say I'm your competitor and I'm a big brand and you have a feature set which is richer than my feature set. I have mechanisms to beat you in the market. So discovering, to me, one example I give about USP is Lord Krishna has Sudarshan Chakra. That weapon only he had, nobody else had. And whenever he used it, a bow and arrow can miss the target, but his Sudarshan Chakra never missed the target. He was the only one who had it, 100% hit rate. That is a, so patterns can be, brand is a USP. Track record can be USP, but it has to be extreme. It takes a lot of time to define your USP. Sometimes the founder and her or his track record can be USP. But it can't stay for too long like that. Anybody else? How many of you would like to price premium versus low? Huh? Premium. How many like premium? You're walking the talk, How often you give discount or walk away? Is your pricing premium at the MRP level? If there's an MRP. Let's say there's a big brand and that is selling for, let's say, 500 rupees, right? And you price your product, which is better than them. In our opinion, maybe may not be. Where will you price it? Above 500, below 500, at 500.
At par.
Huh?
At par.
Self-constrained IR. You see 500 as the upper bar. For me, 500 is the lower bar. See, if you price it at 750, what does the customer think? Think about the customer. What will the customer think?
Better than that.
Exactly. You may not be better, but customer will think if it is more than an established brand, there will be something good about it. But if you price it at 450, what will happen? They will treat you like that. Now 750, you can give 50% discount and sell it lower. Nobody is stopping from doing that. So that is another trap many times we fall. So, premium pricing is not about, putting a bar on yourself. Premium pricing is actually giving a message to the market that we are superior. But what we did in Mojo was, we were ahead of everybody else, 15-20%. But in reality, we had two features in one box. So if you're buying two features, you're getting them for $750. So Cisco may have been $700, we didn't have a second feature. But as far as customer was concerned, it is above what HP was selling and anybody else was selling. then you, hey, those who want to buy you also figure out those who are truly interested in your product. See, basket of customers, you have limited resources. You want to make sure that that basket is interesting. So some of these little things are very important. I think we should think around these areas as much as we think product features. We think too often too much of product features and not these things. But these things are probably more important to get a product in the market and successful. Any other question before we? Yeah.
Hello. So you spoke about the 4 million to 40 million. So it would be good if you can share some thoughts on what we should not do if we want to scale up from 4 million to 40 million.
Yes.
Let me share with you what I did in MBT. And I think about it. Obviously, 4 to 40. If I take the cricket analogy, pitch has to give you some help, right? It can't be a dirty pitch where So that is very important. That the environment has to be conducive to that. Unique differentiator and continued value increase and a focus is very important. Number two, you can't have a team which is way below your caliber. Many times you find founder at this level, the second team at this level. That doesn't work. This could be your internal constraint. Having said that, if the market is there, I think looking at this basket, a adjacent secondary market, which then becomes, so basket of customers has to continue to grow, number one. Number two, your win ratio has to be very high. I would say for a startup, until you hit 20, 25 million or crore, 90% success is very high. Every time you walk in, you have to get 90%. That means you're choosing your basket of customers. You're not going randomly. Saying no to something that you don't want. Shivali was a good. He only fought battles where he had a chance of winning. He walked away from battles where he thought he was disadvantaged. So that tactic is very important. So in MBT, what I did was walked in, and I came from TCS, which was all things to all people. But I quickly realized that this is a 30 crore company, and I now have to compete with companies at that time for 1,000 crore beyond that, international. Only thing I had was British Telecom was joint venture, but that was a good and bad both. If your customer is your investor, they also know your profitability. I first want to make sure that they understood where I was coming from. I told them, every time you ask me for a discount, you are destroying your value. So you ask for a discount, if the company is valued at something, you are destroying that much of value. So don't ask for a discount, beyond a point, I'll give you that. If you look at the telecom application stack, there is a stack which is business systems, and we were very good at it. I said that's what I will focus on. I will not go anywhere else. I built that. Started building to a point where same effort, this year if I'm closing £1 million of business, next year I'm talking about 5 million programs. The third year I'm talking about number of programs all being given to me. And these are simple conversations. Because we're building, obviously in the back end, we were hiring and training and all that. But staying focused on telecom, going from projects to programs to multiple programs, that was probably as simple as that.
Thank you. One more question. So you also spoke about the channel partner ecosystem for the products. How do you see that for services? If you want to price in the channel partner ecosystem to sell our services?
If you honestly ask me, there is a friction, there is a fault line, in my opinion, between a service business and a channel. You can get consultants who can work for you in sales on a commission basis. Otherwise, somehow it has, I'm not saying it cannot, theoretically it can work, but it will not work. Another service company, they outsource to you, they will try and maximize their margin by reducing your price. So there is a fault line. But if you get in front of the customer, that's fine. There are times when you have to do it in the beginning, but get out of it as fast as you can. That's been my experience, at least in the IT services industry. Many times founders do that. Somebody is doing front-ending with the customer, you are doing, customer finds out you are actually doing most of the work. There is a friction there. There's friction with your partner, you are being untrue to your partner, doesn't work. I rather build a direct end user game and take the trouble off. Anything else? Yeah. This is the last question.
So there is a funding winter, and a lot of tech stocks are battered in the either long term, short term, because you see a lot of startups and funding ecosystem. So what do you see?
I actually don't hear, and you can narrate your story well. There is money there. I would not worry about it. You have to have a good idea. Many times you're not able to articulate our business better. So you may not have the right contact among the right ecosystem, but that is a founder's challenge to get this. But indiscriminate funding, where idea is nobody is verified, he's investing, so I also invest, and then I run into a dead end. Founders start wasting money. That's bad for at any time, but funding is available whenever there is a good founder with a good idea. Good founder with average idea also funding is. Most investors see the founders, not the idea, because smart founders will figure out, to pick up the right idea. They will navigate through. Tell me, that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So if you are looking at funding, spend time on, rehearsing your pitch, make it simple. First 2 minutes, you have to catch their attention. This is interesting enough, so that they listen to you beyond that. First 2 minutes are very, very important. Many times founders get into their own story. I did PhD from here, all that stuff. Come to the point straight away. Let them ask you your background. Get to the point, finish, give your value proposition, 1 or 2, 3 slides. Have other slides there. If you're sending it offline, make sure that it is simple, it's not too complicated, and then offer to do the full presentation meeting and all that. We talk about founders' presence and narrative. It's an art. Some people have it, some people don't have it. We teach in Nurture. We ask founders to take a video of themselves in the beginning of the program, and when they graduate, we ask them to do a pitch. So we start with 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 5 minutes, and they start crafting the slides. I said 5 minutes doesn't mean 15 slides into 5 slides. 5 minutes means 5 slides. So abstraction, not crafting. So once you do that, I think, or hire a CEO, they'll do money for you. I always say hire a CEO. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
To contract was a very scary phase in the era of pandemic. But today we learned that contact to contract is actually the essence of the go-to-market strategy. Thank you very much for a wonderful session. Without further ado, I would like to call Dr. Mahesh to hand over the memento to our fantastic speaker today.
Excuse me. Thank you.
just thinking where to put it now. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for your time. And all the best. Any help you need, you just a mail or a WhatsApp message.
First of all, let me thank the entire members who are here. Though this is on Monday evening, you people are taking your time to be here. First of all, a huge round of applause to all the participants. Major thing is the inner voice of the audience. Let us put the hands together to our Executive Director Mahesh Katala for bringing Mr Kiran Deshpande all the way. In his absence, I would like to extend thanks to Mr Sudanwa Dhananjaya, the TiE Mysuru Chapter President. I also extend thanks to Prajakta Kupnikar for delivering the introductory regarding the speaker for the event, followed by Mahesh Rao sir for giving the welcome note. And also I would like to thank Mr Madhvesh for hosting the event as MC. And I also thank all the members, charter members and associate members for your timely presence here in this event and making this event a huge success. Foremost, I'd like to wish a very happy journey to the team starting from Mysuru towards TiE Hyderabad, starting from 12th. So I wish you the very best and have a good journey ahead. I was happy to hear that the student members are also joining the team from TiE Mysuru. So best wishes to the TiE Mysuru student members headed by Professor Lokesh from Vidyavardhaka College of Engineering, Mysuru. Also thank the sound system and the other arrangements made from the Desi Guide team, and also thank the venue partners, the Oyster Bay, and the team from Exosort for coordinating the entire event. Thank you and have a good day.